Good morning. I didn't make it. I'm like 5 seconds late to get over here in time. Well, shoot, it's a Monday. It's been a crazy Monday. Good morning, I'm Bradley McCalister, founder of Spiracraft. This is Monday Methods. We're off to a blazing start sliding in. Well, I didn't slide in today like I have sometimes. But hey, it's great to be out here and we're gonna have a little bit of fun today. Actually, we're gonna have a lot of fun today. Working on twice turning, returning, second turning, whatever you might want to call it. Hey, Rich is in here. Good morning, Rich. Bradley time. It is Bradley time. Crazy time is what it is. So returning, second turning, whatever you want to call it. What we're featuring today or focusing on is when you have turned a piece of wood that was green and then let it dry in a bowl, in a hollow form, vessel, open form, all the different shapes, and then it's dried, and then the natural process, well, it shrinks and becomes oval, right? The end grain doesn't move too much, side grain pulls in a whole lot, and you have an oval piece. Hopefully, when you turned it green, you left enough material to be able to return it in its second turn and still have some wall thickness without going through the sides. So that's what we're covering here today. Let's see, and it's Rich is in, Mark's in, Arthur's in, Michael's in. Okay, so full transparency, I did not get the new camera hooked up. I came out here over the weekend and opened Pandora's box, as I often do, and decided I was going to try and get things in the right order. So the new camera, be ready next week in here. It was just too much to do. I'm trying to make a variety of changes in here and just didn't get to it. Hey, that's the way it works. So in case you want to ask, the new cameras are not hooked up yet. We'll have to struggle through with the old ones one more Monday. All right, that's all I got to say about that. I don't want to go there anymore. So cool beans. I've got a variety of pieces here. I've got one just sitting here in the machine. I've got another big one. This is the one that I had put on in the post. This big giant piece of sycamore. I've got several more back here, and I kind of want to talk, I'll hold them all up and we'll do different things and kind of talk about the whole process and the principle. I also have another traditional hollow form here, still on a faceplate as a matter of fact. We'll set it there. I got all kinds of little handy dandy sample pieces around. If there's one thing that I have is a whole lot of unfinished pieces. If I had a specialty, it would be stacking up unfinished pieces. I used to have 300 or 400 at one time. I've pared it down to I don't know what. So that being said, let's kind of get going. First thing we want to think about, and I'm going to make some of these go away for a moment. And of course, as always, if you have any questions, pop them in the comment column and ask away. When we first turn the piece, we want to always leave that rule of thumb of about 10% of wall thickness to the diameter of the piece, so that when we turn it a second time, that we have enough. I mentioned that earlier, and it's really important because if you want to make it perfectly round, you have to have that extra material to work with. Now, the question sometimes comes up, does it have to be perfectly round? Not if you don't want it to be. So this piece that I have on the lathe right now is a classic example of that. It's a piece of poplar, and I'm going to pop you in the end camera, and you can see it both ways. End camera, Brad, is number 2. And you can see that this thing is oval. It is anything but round, okay? Got a little nice die on the corner of it too. So the hole's not too bad, and relatively speaking, if this was sitting on a counter somewhere or on a shelf on display, you really wouldn't notice it's out of roundness. Let me pop you into the overhead. Okay, again, it's not that far out of round. All right, from a aesthetic standpoint, oh gosh, that camera's not really in focus on Facebook. It's in focus here. That stinks. We may have to fix that. So we'll go back over here to the end, much better shot. So here's the deal with this piece. This has already been turned to a thickness that will not allow me to turn it again. All right, there's not enough material left in the thickness here And I'm going to reach over, I'm going to walk around here and see if I can't grab a set of calipers without getting in the way. And so when I turned this piece, I knowingly turned it thin, okay, and knew that it would be oval. So here you'll see, it looks bigger in the camera. That's about 3/8 of an inch there. Okay, and it's actually more like a quarter when I get it in the right spot. And if I was to come down the wall, there is more material here. This is too small a caliper. But there is not enough material left to return this. What will happen is it'll go through the walls and it will just cut apart, blow apart. Good morning, Dwayne. So this piece was turned intentionally to be left at its original size from the original turn. It just needs to be cleaned up, sanded, and finished, things like that. Now, if I wanted to return this, if I wanted to do anything to it, here's one thing that's important that happens. Grayson, Terry, good morning. The tenon, our gripping point, goes oval just like the piece does. And so in this piece, and I've got it just sitting in the chuck, and I'm going to pop it out of here for a second. If I wanted to return this piece, and I'm going to flip to the end camera, I would have to return this tenon to where it was perfectly round, okay? Now, I know it's not perfectly round, one, just by looking at it. I don't know if you can see that or not. There you go. That gives you an idea of how out around it is. It's oval, all right? And when I go and put it in the chuck jaws here, and these are the appropriate size jaws, and I tighten the jaws down, and now I'm going to flip you to the overhead, even if it's slightly out of focus. I'll watch Facebook. And you can see that because that tenon is oval, this piece will not mount solidly in the jaws. The jaws do not get a good grip. You can also see it more exaggerated here. All right, that would be the first thing that we would want to take care of. We would have to address that out of round tenon before we could do anything else. Now, again, I'm not going to set it up, so this one is too thin to turn, but you would need to turn it around in whatever fashion you chose, whether you used a set of cold jaws, jumbo jaws, whatever. If you just expanded your chuck jaws, depending on what jaws you have in. Let's see if these will go out there. There's a lot of different ways. Okay, so for as well as that will do, what I want to do is I would mount this between centers, okay? And I'd bring my tailstock up and I would find the center of my tenon, like so, and that's approximate. And then I would return that tenon so that this tenon was perfectly round again. Then I could mount it into my chuck jaws and it would be nice and secure. So that would be the first step, is getting this piece with a tenon that is safe and solid and secure. Get that mounted in your chuck. Then you could go on about your business. All right, so I wanted to show you, use this one because it's really out around, and one of the more out around ones that I have sitting here. So that's really important. Don't ever leave a piece or put a piece in the chuck, and if it's got any of that wiggle whatsoever, return the tenon, even if you have to go to a smaller set of jaws. Something that you sometimes do. And I try to leave, and often when I'm turning green, you might hear me talk about, I might leave my jaws, my tenon a little bit oversized, or I do leave it oversized. And I might show you that the gap in the jaws is maybe 3/8 of an inch or more, knowing that that's going to get oval, and I'm going to need to return it so that I can still use that same set of jaws in the future. Okay, so it's very important that we make sure that tenon is proper. Okay, so let's take this guy out of the way, and you can see it's just kind of sitting there. Now, another thing I have over here to show you, and I'm going to show you a lot of things, and I may have to stop a little earlier. I can't run late today. The tree surgeon, the tree trimmers are coming today they wanted to be here right about now. We're in about 45 minutes, and I said, please wait, because the boom truck's going to be here and the chainsaws are, and they're trimming all the trees on the property. but they're going to be here at 1, so I want to make sure that I'm wrapped up and out of the way and all that to meet them. So this is a centerpiece still on a faceplate. Now surprisingly, if I show you this on the end, this guy is still quite true. It's just a little teeny bit out, right? Now why is that? This piece is oriented in the end grain of the wood. So all the movement was from the top to the bottom, very little bit from side to side. All right, so this piece could be, if it wasn't, and if it was still left, and there's enough in here, I could return this. I'm not going to today because I'm just going to leave it just like that. But still on the faceplate, it's dried. It could be finished, turned up. There's a little bit more to do inside in here, and down in the bottom. You come out. So this guy is good to go. It hasn't really turned much, and I'm going to leave this on slow. And I'm going to put this on the end so you can see that really is not out of round for all intent and purpose. Okay, that's pretty good. Pop you into overhead. All right. Hey, good morning, Frank. Appreciate you dropping in today. And I know what's going on over there on that other camera. Okay, on one of them. I know I set one on manual. So, anywho, that guy is good to go because it's turned into end grain and it didn't move much. It moved from front to back. So what I need to do, I need to go check this camera over here because I don't think I put it on manual focus. So bear with me. I thought I did, but I'm going to check. And I didn't. So we're going to put that on manual focus now. And that should stay in focus now when it changes as it goes around. Let's do a little test now and see here. We'll put that back in there. We'll put that on that. And I'll wait to see, double check in Facebook on my monitor, which will take about 20 seconds to make sure that when that switches over, yeah, that's much better. Okay, so the cameras aren't doing crazy now. Overhead, but we won't be doing too much overhead today. So that's one end of faceplate, end grain, good to go, very little movement there. Always good to know if you don't want to deal with it. Now, and again, a lot of hollow forms, truly hollow forms like this, you turn them green, turn them thin, and call it good. Let them be a little bit oval. Nobody knows, nobody cares, especially if they're end grain. It's all good, okay? Now, that was 2 hollow forms. Then we come to things that I kind of call open forms or closed forms that aren't hollow forms, meaning they got a really big hole in the top, right? So here's the guy that was in the post for today, right? And this is a pretty big piece. I don't know what this is. It's got to be all of 16, every bit of 16 inches. And it's been sitting out on the back porch just as a holder on a table. And I'm not going to turn this today because, or return this, because it has a big giant split running right through the whole bottom of this piece right now, okay? So this guy qualifies currently as unsafe. One of these days I'll get around to it. I would stabilize this or epoxy this crack, not CA glue. I would not trust CA glue with that crack. This is still heavy. There's a lot of mass in this piece, okay? But this would be a great one where it's, let's stick it in the chuck just for yucks. Let's see what we got here. How big is that tenon? That's a pretty good sized tenon. I don't have anything that size, but I'll change jaws real quick. We'll give you the Easy Wood Tools quick change jaw demonstration and put a bigger set of jaws on here. And let's mount this guy up. Again, I don't know how old it is. I've had it around forever. Turned it out on the road at the woodworking shows. Boy, I don't know if you follow my personal page. I've been posting memories, of the woodworking shows. Should be out on the road every week, all weekends right now. Instead, I'm here at home, which I'm happy to be at home. But I do miss being out there, talking to everybody and doing the demonstrations live at the woodworking shows. But we're going to AAW. Come to the AAW Symposium in Chattanooga in June. We'll be there with the Spiracraft booth. We'll be demonstrating different products. We'll be demonstrating the newest thing that's going to be coming out is the Woodcut Tools bowl coring system, but it's going to be the Max 4, which is the big version, the 3 blades, and it goes up to 17 inches. We will have that. I'm waiting on that any day. That's going to be one of our premier things we'll be showing at AAW Symposium in Chattanooga. It will be the Woodcut Tools Max 4 bowl coring system. So I'm looking forward to that. Rich, wife probably wishes you were out on the road too. No, the wife is, Bridget is very happy that I'm here at home. Okay? She is indeed. All right, let's see. So I'm going to pop you on the end camera. And this guy's not too bad, all things considered. It's out just a little bit, but not a lot. Okay? And there's enough material here in this piece to easily return. If I get my calipers through here, this guy is still, you know, 1.5 inches thick down in here, 2 inches thick across in there. Plenty of material. There you go. Plenty of material to return that. Okay. So I planned to head on this, and this is a sycamore piece. I wanted to finish turning this, but this had plenty left. Okay, even with the recurve rim. I know it's kind of crazy trying to show you that with there's no good background sometimes, but it gives you the idea that there's plenty of material in this, and it's not too far out around, so we really wouldn't lose a lot of material. So this will be a nice big piece one day. One day. All right. So that's what, you know, I consider. You'd call it this one would be a bowl with a big recurve rim. But all these principles apply to whether it's got a big giant hole in the top or a small hole in the top. All right. Here's another one. This is a piece of maple, and it's got a smaller hole in it, same size tendon. So let's mount this guy up. Now I threw some dye on this some months back, and this guy may be pretty good. This one is pretty good to go. So in the overhead you see that there's not much change to it, and in the end camera you can see that it's quite true. Now the reason I say it's still got some work to do, this lip right in here is still a little thick, and then there's lots of material down inside here. So this piece could easily be returned, and this is black, it might be a little hard to see. One of the things I want to show you, and see if it'll show up on this, when this rim is going round, and they're very out of round, you'll see the ghost image of the inside and the outside. And this is not a good example. I wish I had one that has a tendon on it. Here, hang on a second. I got an idea here. I got an idea. I want to demonstrate this to you on how you can make sure that you have enough material. Now I know I do on this one, but I'm going to turn away this black edge here, this black face, real quick, and get that down to bare wood. Let me double check that I have this nice and tight in the chuck. Okay. I have a face mask because I want to show you how to double check it. And again, this one's not bad. So let's take that black dye off of there, because that makes it way too hard to see. Okay, you should be able to see, as that's spinning, this ghost image I'm referring to. And I'm going to leave that spin while I go look for a pencil or a pen. And I have lots of new pencils on the way. I've been ordering up the swag for AAW, so we've got the Spiracraft pencils coming. So right here you can see this ghost image just ever so slightly going by. And what I would do, especially if this was much more pronounced, is I would take my pen or pencil and I would draw a line to make sure that I had the inside diameter safe and the outside. Okay, so with those two lines, and let's make the assumption that this is now only like 1/4 of an inch or so. All right, you do this to make sure that you have enough material. If you can't have two lines that have space in the middle, right in here, then you don't have enough wood to turn that piece. Okay? You can turn that lip away and make a new change and make a different shape. But, and I'll turn that off, but it stops so you can see the lines. Sort of, this wood is still fairly dark. But that's how you can check to make sure that you have enough material. All right? And again, assume that that was a much smaller edge right there. So that one is good to go. I wouldn't mess with the outside. I would just finish turning the inside, sand this guy back up, and move it along through the process. Okay? So I wanted to show you a variety of different shapes today, so just to make sure you understood that regardless of whether it's, you know, just a big bowl or it's a semi-hollow form or a full hollow form, the principles all apply. Now here's another great sample. This guy is a piece of poplar, and it's just crazy oval, right? Now I wish I could return it, but I turned it thin, and so I can't, and it doesn't have a tenon on it, or I'd mount it. But maybe you can see how oval this is, and maybe not. And it's kind of cool the way the greens wood in the center, the heartwood and the sapwood run along with the ovalness. You can see I've been using it in the pressure pot. But this piece is definitely oval, and if I turn it up here and put it in the overhead, you'll see the same thing. All right, so I'm kind of stuck with this guy. I could take a little bit out of the inside, but I couldn't touch the outside here because I've already committed to it. All right. So that's one of those where, you know, once you do it, I don't know why the tenon's gone. Don't ask me. I don't have no idea what I was thinking. But that one is really oval, still cool. Just, I know that there's not enough material here now to return that. All right. This is another big guy over here, and again, I have no idea why there's no tenon on the back of this. I don't have a clue. This is one that does have enough material in the bottom that I could put it in a set of jumbo jaws, and I might turn on this one today. Who knows? It looks like it's a piece of maple, and we can put it. We might do that. This might be our candidate today to play with. We'll put a tenon on the back here, and we'll see how oval it is. But we would mount this through the hole. I'd put a set of jumbo jaws in the chuck, bowl jaws, and grab inside here, turn it over, and then we'd go ahead and put a tenon on here. And this might be the one. I got one more here I want to show you first. So we can put a tenon on this guy, get the whole thing trued up, and finish this form out. So I'm going to set that one over there. That may be the candidate. Now here's another one. What was that? Oh, chuck jaw. This is another one that's kind of crazy. Poppy in the overhead. It's still in its chuck. This one, maybe I might show you. I can show better. Put you on the end. So this one, after the fact, has a bunch of splits now where there was a knot. Okay, and I was just playing with this with texture and one thing or another. There's a whole lot of wood still inside of this. And the form, you know, still got enough room. You can change, you can make a bowl out, you can do a lot of things, but it also has this horrible set of splits right in that knot. Now that's a nice design feature. If we could epoxy those with some colored gel, Spiracraft gel epoxy that we've got, and fill those and then turn this piece, we could have a nice piece and not worry about that. All right. So something to keep in mind, when these pieces dry, you do tend to get those. And I just left that knot in there because I felt like it. All right. Pop you back up here. Set that one back up there. I'm going to get that chuck jaw before I forget that it fell to the floor. If I can get under here. Just so I don't lose track of it in the chips. Because my cleanup person hasn't been around lately. Okay, so here's another one. This is a really good example as well. This is full of knots, whatever it is. Looks like it's probably a piece of maple. And this one not only has the tenon gone oval, but it's also not even flat. I'm trying to turn that up. Can you see if I get the angle right? You can see how this is not even flat across the base of the bottom of the tenon anymore. So this one would need a lot of work. All right, good bit of work to do on this. Nothing wrong with it. It's plenty of material thickness wise in here. Lots of material. This one has a ton of knots. I don't know if I want to really fight this today or not. Let's see something here. Pop this in the overhead. I don't know if this will even mount up just to stick it in here. I'm just kind of curious to see how out of whack it is. Oh, so that's way out of whack there, isn't it? So that's how much the bottom has moved from flat. Okay, so there's no way you're going to put that in a chuck safely. So you're going to start out with this one turned around. Now, once you got it true, that's not too bad. So this one could be cleaned up without too much trouble. Again, this thing is full of knots, and I just don't feel like fighting knots today. So we're going to leave that alone. But there's nothing wrong with this. It's been dried for years now. Be a nice bowl for table piece or something like that. All right. So any of these pieces you have around that you have dried, you've turned them green, they've moved. Again, this one I would mount into a set of bowl jaws on on a chuck, get it turned, get the tenon trued up, turn it back around. I'd do my outside, turn it back around, and move along like we're going to do with probably that piece. Okay. So that's kind of the general idea, the basic premise of what I'm talking about with this twice turning. Once you've turned them green, you let them dry, made sure you left enough. Always check to make sure that you left enough. All right, and if you did, well, then you go ahead and go on about your business. So let's go ahead, I think, and see what we can do. If it's because I don't have a tenon on this guy yet. Let me see what I can do to get a tenon on here. Assuming I can find all my bowl jaws and all my bumpers real quick. Because I wasn't sure what piece I was going to use today. So what I'm going to do, I'll put that there in a second. I'll go looking for my bowl jaws. I know where the jaws are. I just have to make sure I have enough bumpers. And we'll get a tenon on this guy and move forward. And I think that'll take you through the process nicely. So let me pop you into the overhead there so you can just see the bottom of that. While I slide over here real quick, look for my bowl jaws for the easy chuck. All right, I've got some jaws. Each one only has one bumper on it. These are the smaller 12-inch. Let me see if I have loose bumpers. If not, I will take them off of the other one. Yes, I got some more bumpers right here. I think we're good to go. So Art, I think I can do yellow and black on these jaws today. Or maybe yellow, black, yellow. We'll see. But I've got 4 more bumpers here. So we should be in good shape. All right. We'll get these guys mounted up. Get all my goodies here. Again, if you have any kind of questions, holler while I'm getting this stuff put together. Uh-oh. Lose anything in here right now, it could be gone forever. Like the screw that was in that. There it is. Springtime is coming. It's time to get all the yard work going. I'm going to guess at what side, where I'm going to put these. We'll start them all out in the same spot. So talking about, here I'll pop up here. So the tree trimmers are coming today, and I've got a bunch of pecan. Yellow black would be good. Yes, I know, Art, you love it when I do or don't do that. They're trimming up. We have several very large pecan trees, and I've made this announcement earlier. depending on what they leave me. I've asked them to leave the big pieces. I'm going to go ahead and cut them up into blanks and make them available for folks. And when I do, I'll put it on the Spiracraft page and the Wood and Resin Turning community page, and they'll be available for sale for some nominal cost. It'll probably cost you more in shipping than I'll want for the pieces of wood, but it'll be green pecan, and pecan is really nice. Now once it dries, Art, I'm going to have to break the yellow black here. Once it dries, it's hard as a rock, so that's something to keep in mind. But it will be available. Nice South Georgia pecan coming up. And I'll have some limb. They'll leave me some big limbs, which makes for some nice goblets and different end grain pieces. And just depending on what all they really cut off out here today. Okay, so let's go ahead and pop these into the Easy Chuck. The beauty of the Easy Chuck, of course, is you just change the jaws super quick like that. Concrete, yes, it is hard. I have a great story that I had run out of wood out on the road, the woodworking shows, and I ran by my wood storage and grabbed some what I thought was maple, and it turned out to be pecan, and I went back out on the road with it and proceeded to try and demonstrate, and it was a nightmare. So it looks like all these need to move by about one buttonhole. Okay. Should have known I would miss it on the first shot. Just going to lock that down. So yeah, once it dries, it is really, really hard, but it can be really, really beautiful as well. And I think I'm actually going to go 2 holes in and then expand to hold this. And we'll see if we can't go about getting a tenon on this guy. I think winter's over for most folks. It's going to be 86 something degrees here today, and then it's going to drop back into the 50s again. It is March, it's that time of year, things change a lot. But we've got grasses starting to grow, I got new mower blade, all kinds of goodies, getting ready for the springtime. The only thing about these jaws is it takes a while to adjust, but not too bad. We're almost there. Hopefully one adjustment will do the trick. Yes, I do. I encourage everybody to come up to the AAW, especially if you're in driving range. I know the gas is going crazy and all that stuff, but if you're within driving range of Chattanooga, come on up. 2 of them are a little bit too far out. Don't know what I was thinking. Be my luck, I went one space too far. That says the bugs get into pecan by the time it dries. Yeah, so this stuff is when it comes down. Famous last words. I'm gonna get right on it and get it cut up and sealed and off the ground. I know, believe it when you see it, right? Because my days are just packed, as Calvin and Hobbes say. I don't know where I got Thomas. All right, let's see if this is going to do the trick. I think this is going to be just right. And we'll open those jaws up. Okay, good deal. So this guy really isn't too out of round, which is pretty cool. So if I show you here, and I don't have the buttons tight, but that's not bad. But mostly we need a tenon on this guy, and I put you in the overhead. Same thing. You can see that it's pretty true. Okay, so it's possible. Now there's another technique that I sometimes will use, and I don't know why the tenon's gone, but hey, sometimes I will turn these multiple times as they're drying, so that they are pretty close to being round once they're dry. So I would let them dry for a few weeks or a month, maybe even pop them back out of the bag. I put them in paper bags. I pop them out of the bag, turn it again, just give it a one quick make it round, put it back in the bag, let it keep drying. Go another month or so, pop it out, throw it on the lathe, turn it round again. And that way you don't have this big lumpity lump out of round piece to work with when time comes to do the finished turning on it. Because that can make it a lot harder. When the piece is way out of round, it's really tough because the wood is dry and hard at that point, and it's out of round. So you've got a lot of work. So this one, luckily it's pretty round. But and so that makes me happy because I won't fight so hard today to get through this. All right. Now I've got it on the buttons, but I always like to run the tailstock just to be safe, because they can jump off of those buttons. And then we'll have to take tailstock away to finish putting the tenon on. But we'll make ourselves a nice tenon here. And like I say, I'm 99% certain, I hope so because I'm going through with this, that we have enough material for a tenon and still have a bottom in this guy. Okay. Get my speed control set up. Turn it by hand, make sure things are clear. Don't want to run over about 800 with these big jaws. It's recommended by the manufacturer. Okay, that's not too bad. That's about 500. I think I'll go to about 6. Go to about 6 and leave it right there. That doesn't look too bad. Then focus on my monitors. Hopefully I've got my hand up there. We'll see on Facebook when it pops up there in a second if that's going to stay in focus. Not too bad. Not too bad. Okay, so I'm going to grab a tool. Carter & Son bowl gouge, 1/2 inch. 3/8 if it was a Sorby. And we'll just start to work ourselves in here a little bit. First we got to get rid of this bottom. Okay, first we got to get this bottom flattened out. Now we don't need to make it perfect. And make sure that I'm staying snug on my big jaws here. There we go. Okay, yep. Just making a little noise, and they will. And I want my tenon to have a slight depression in it, so I'm not going to go all the way in there. And I am going to set a set of calipers for 3.5. I'll just grab a set of jaws over here. And we'll put a good sized tenon on this guy. Give myself a little margin. Okay, that should do the trick. Should do the trick. Hopefully I don't mess up. So now I'll check this. And that's just about right where I want to be. You can see where I was cutting. I'm going to make a mark because I'm just a fuzz smaller. That's probably actually perfect if I was to be really, really particular. But I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger right about there. And we can do a lot of shaping while we're here as well. Okay, and I'm pretty happy with that. All right, so let's take some more material out here. I have a reference point now, which is quite important. And we can actually go ahead and take some of this material away from here too, down the side. Let's see, that camera's blinking a little bit today, isn't it? Good reason for me to get this stuff changed out. Show you what I'm doing here in the overhead. Might as well go ahead and get two birds with one stone, so to speak. So we can start to reshape this piece, get it true. Okay. And as usual, if you don't have standard tools, high-speed steel tools, well, you can always go with your carbide tools if that's what you have. So I always like to show the different tools. It's a pretty piece of wood. You can see the ambrosia in this. And again, it's turning slow, so we're not getting a real clean cut right now. A little bit higher with this. So these are the Easy Wood carbide tools. We've got these in the Spiracraft stop. This is the mid-size with a CI3 carbide cutter on it. So it doesn't matter what tools you use, you can always do this work. And this is a point where, and I'm in the overhead, and you can see, it's moving slow and it's tearing out some of that end grain there. If we want to reshape this guy completely, if I don't like that profile, and I've got enough wood, this is a good time to change this profile. While we're here, while we're doing this, let's just change this whole profile right here on this corner. I know there's lots of material in here. So we're changing the profile. We're also going ahead and getting it true. This is just slightly out around. And we don't have to do the whole thing right up to the top, but we'll just go close. Okay. So this is a good time to make those changes. I didn't like that harsh edge anyway. Not really. And the beauty of kind of shaping this curve with a carbide tool, the rough stage is, it's a carbide tool. Technically, it's a scraper, and we're not worried about getting a super smooth cut right now, especially the low speed. But it makes it easy to do your shaping. Okay, so that's working with the carbide tool. And we'll come back around here, go back to work on our tenon. And I'm going to drop in here with a smaller bowl gouge, like a 1/4/3/8. And pop you back into the end camera. Lower the tool rest back down a little bit. Start to build that seat for the tenon and for the jaws to sit on. Raise that back up just a fuzz. Okay, so I'm building my flat section here now. Let's clean this tenon up on the top. Double check that I haven't made it too small. Should be just about right there. And I like this little teeny tool, this little 1/4 inch tool, and you can see, I know I can't get up too close, but I've got it, it's a little 1/4/3/8, and I've got the wings ground back. It lets me come right down here and make my tenon, and then also make my seat for my jaws, the top of my jaws to sit on. I can turn it over, come in and clean that up, drop right into the corner, and I'm making my dovetail profile as I go here. So you can just barely see the dovetail forming in here as I cut that tenon. All right. Again, we want a nice flat surface right here for everything to rest on, nice and clean. Okay. All right. That all looks pretty good. That should do the trick. I might work on that tenon just a little teeny bit more here. Try not to take material off of it. It's just about the right size. Okay. Happy with that. Let's do a little more shaping on this. Let's see, I'm going to take this up to 800 in the jumbo jaws, the big easy jaws, as Easywood calls them, just to get a little bit better cut here. And refine that shape. Pop you back into the end camera. Oh, there we go. You can hear it kind of clunking away in there. Okay, not horrendous. Let's come on around here while we still have it here, just to do this corner. The top will work when we turn it around. Okay. All right, let's just try and get a couple more tool marks. Got a couple little ridges in there. Let's see if we can't get them out. A little bit lower here. Still get a little torn grain right in there. I'm going to take, I'm not going to go all the way to the grinder. I'm going to hit this real quick with a diamond card and see if I can't improve that cut just a little bit. So I'm grabbing a diamond card here, a little bit of lapping fluid, and I'll just hold this where you can see it. Just a quick pass around. Speed would be my real friend here. And we may have to clean that up after the fact. Let's see if just that little touch-up did anything for us at all. So like I say, we're lifting up some grain here just a little bit. Definitely better. If we change the direction to go the wrong way, I don't think we're going to get a better cut. But I'll try anything once. Making sure not to go to my tenon. All right, and again, it's lifting the grain even more. So it's just got some crazy end grain there. It's a little bit difficult to deal with. I did try a little shear scrape here. Okay. So I'm not going to fight with that all day, because I got a tree trimmer coming here. Pop you back in the overhead. Okay, and we'll leave that right there for that. Pop my goggles off, my mask off for a moment. All right, so that's the overhead. You can see there, looking not too bad, and we've refined that shape. Bottom is not horrible. Again, that end grain's a little funky today. If I've made sure the tool was ultra sharp and could get my speed up a little bit more, I'd get a better cut and I'd be happier with that. But we're going to go with that for now, because we've got our tenon made. So now we can go ahead and mount this guy up into the chuck. And one, we'll get the top cleaned up. We'll go inside and we'll get a little bit of mass out of the inside. We get the speed up on this guy. Okay. All right, good deal. Anybody got any questions? Fire away in the comment column if you got any kind of questions or anything. Let me change these jaws out here real quick. Doesn't take long. What's my time looking like? 11:55, okay. I'm probably gonna stop at 12:30 in case the tree surgeon decides to show up before the predetermined scheduled 1 p.m. Because he was going to come, like I say, at like noon, 11, with the bucket truck and all the guys with the saws. And I said, please, can we hold off until 1 o'clock? That's 2 out of 4, Brad. So where are the other two? What did he do with them, he says. There they are. I put them further away. Now, if you see these easy jaws, this is my bad. Okay, these jaws rusted because I was using Spiracraft metallic paint aging system on a piece and spraying the chemicals, the corrosives, etc. onto those jaws, and I made them rust. Do you use a coarse or fine hand diamond hone? That one is, I know it's 1,000, it's 180 on one side and 1,000 on the other. Typically I use a 600 1000, and I typically use the 600 side. That's the one that happened to be laying here at the moment, so great question. And so I went with the 600 just to move a little more material. Okay, so this thing is turning really nice. Pop you in the overhead, so it's in the chuck, turning nice and true. My jaws aren't too bad. I'm a little bigger than a perfect circle, but not horrendous by any means. My tenon is just the right length. It's not bottoming out in the jaws. You're welcome, Dwayne. You're welcome by all means. All right? Okay. Now, I still like to keep things when I can, you know, with the tailstock, but I need to work on this, and I'm going to go from here up. So I'm going to have this in my way. So let's see how we do, because I'm concerned about vibration. All right, so I'm going to pop you in here and see what we get. If I got far enough out of the way, shouldn't be in the way. We've got some cleanup to do here. We'll clean up this face first. Okay. So we get a nice clean face there. So that's a beautiful cut. So I know the tool is sharp. It's just I got some. This has got some funky wild grain in it. And let's go ahead and start working our way down through here. You hear the bounce there at first. I'll pop you into the overhead. Move my tool rest around just a little bit. So I'm going to blend from here to this point back in here. So I'll take some of this corner we left out here away. And again, this is where, and you can, you're going to want to check how much material you have. And right in here, where my thumb is the thinnest. I have more material right in out here, and I have more material up at the rim. So I don't have a lot of material right in here. That's the thinnest area right now. So we want to keep an eye on that. And again, if you're a carbide tool worker, and that's what you've got, well, you can use your carbide tools. I know we need to raise that up just a little bit. We want to be around the center axis. And also we can take this speed up some now. We'll get much better cuts. So we just jumped up to, let's take it to 1200. Then with the carbide style tool, where we can just kind of roll around that corner if we want to. So this cutter is starting to feel a little dull. Okay. Just kind of taking a look around here, seeing what we've got. Don't want to get too much out of right there. That's where I'm already my thinnest. But I can roll this over and take some of that out, because I've got a lot of material here in the rim. Now I haven't gone to the inside yet, but I can still take some of this out and change this profile up. Okay. All right. So just kind of playing with this shape. And again, I have a little hump right in here, right about there. So I have to be careful, because that's also my my thinnest area. It's looking pretty good. Okay. I'm liking that. I'm going to make a change. So I'm up in here, pop you here. I'm going to make a change right in here still. And this, I'm somewhat committed to this section right here. Not a lot of material, but I can fix that up by taking some more of this away. All right, now let's come back around here to this last little corner. Check question above. What was that? What was making a clunky sound while spinning? If you're talking about earlier when it was in the jumbo jaws, that was just those jaws making the clunk. If you're talking about here, there's nothing. There would have been the jaws jingling, but it was the clunking sound. If I'm thinking of the one you're referring to, would be those big jaws, those big jumbo jaws. Let me know if that's what you're referring to. Yeah, sometimes the regular jaws in these Easy Chucks will jingle, but they're pretty quiet today. So I just want to refine my outside shape before I start to the inside. Okay. And I'm still going to take some more of this lip right here away. Right there. I hope I don't regret it. Pop you into the end here. Not a lot. It doesn't take a lot to make a big change. Just kind of make that profile a little bit better. And I've got plenty of material here, so I'm going to make a little bit more change down there. We'll get this thing tuned in, dialed in yet. Pop you back in the overhead. Taking a fairly heavy cut again. Just to where I get this profile where I like it now. And that looks 100 times better already right there. Okay, now let's do a little bit of blending. So we're going to come all the way around to the back side here. Yeah, it was the jumbo jaws, Dad. They just kind of, they're a little noisy or clunky, if you will, sometimes. Start to blend that hump away. Now it's all about just refining and refining until you get where you want to be, and where you're happy with it. So this doesn't really look much of anything like it did when I started, and that's the whole beauty of this type of work. You rough turn it, you leave it nice and big, and you let it warp. Although this one wasn't warped too much. And then you come in and refine it till you get just what you want. Okay. And we could leave a, we could leave a detail here if we wanted. We can do a lot of things. So I'm going to leave that alone right for now, because I want to jump into the inside for a minute before I run out of time here. 12:09. I'm having to watch my clock. I could just imagine if the boom truck was pulling up out here, because one of the big pecans, and it was about that big around, that's bigger than that at the base. And they're going to take probably an 18-inch limb trunk section or 18-inch section out of the tree, which is right over there. And so I sure don't want to be in one of these buildings. Not that they would be dropping a tree on me, but I'd rather watch. So anyway, I'm relatively speaking, I'm happy with the overall outside shape. A little bit of grain work to do still there. But let's go ahead and go inside and get the inside just kind of cleaned up. All right. We'll clean up this rim here. And depending on what I have hanging around as to what we'll use. But this is the process, and this is working out just great as far as showing you, how you take that piece that was all wonky, wacky, no tenon on it whatsoever, and I left enough material there, come back in, put a tenon on it, and go back to work on the piece of wood. And it's been years. This thing has been literally laying around for I don't know how long, 5 years, maybe more. And when you get around to it, you get around to it. All right? especially for me. So let's clean up this face, and then we may switch tools, see what I'll go inside over here with, pop back on the end. We'll clean up this rim. And you can see that the rim is not completely true, just barely in the shot, if you can. And I'm going to go ahead and take this tailstock completely out of my way now, because it's just going to be in the way. So I'm just going to set it over here. And we'll clean up this inner rim. And again, if you wanted to do something decorative, you can leave this nice and thick. It's purely up to you. It's, you know, it's a reasonable wall thickness as it is. But again, if I take my pen right now and redraw this, that's where my edge is, if you can see that. I know it's a little far away in the camera, and you might not be able to see it. I'm looking at my Facebook monitor, but that's the edge that I need to clean up. And it's a very fine edge. And I'm just kind of rolling the tool around. It's a little tricky because if the tool jumps and comes back up here, then you put a big divot in the top of your rim there, and you don't want to do that. It's another place where a carbide tool is very forgiving for you, because you can just reach in here with this round cutter. And just kind of smooth that profile over if you want to. Okay, and remember we're turning 1250 RPMs here. So for a bowl, we're humming right along, okay? Now my wall thickness, let me show you here. We'll get out a set of calipers. You reach across here. Not anything, see if I can get these turned where you can see. You can never see them, you know, on a camera. So, it's pinky thick, right? You got plenty. If you wanted a thin wall, well, it doesn't qualify as thin wall yet. Still respectable, but plenty of room. And it's also not perfectly round on the inside yet. So I was thinking about grabbing, and I haven't used this in a while, the new tools. I think I may go ahead and put in the setup here. The Woodcut Tools ProMaster Hollower. Throw an irons tool gate on here if I can see where I put it. I see it. And reach inside. I haven't used this in a while, so this guy is great. And I have a new one that I haven't put in the store yet, in the Spiracraft store, which is the Flexi, ProMaster Flexi, which has an adjustable head to it, and it's smaller. So this is the irons tool gate. This tool gate is fantastic for working with the tool. Either the shaft can sit in the tool gate, or the handle can sit in the tool gate. And let me show you here on the end real quick. So the tool gate, which pivots, the tool can sit down in the bottom U-channel, or the handle can sit in it, and you can run the shaft all the way in to where the swan is all the way up here, and you can put multiple handles together to have like no flex. All right, so now the one thing I am going to need to do for myself, just so I don't have to reach over in front of the camera, is I'm going to turn this just a little bit. So that I can get in here and not have to lean so far. Okay. I'll bring my controller up, put it up here where I can get to it. And the beauty of this tool rest iron gate is you can go all the way inside, just like so. So your tool is not going far over the tool rest, if necessary. Now this piece isn't that big. So I'm kind of looking for the optimum. And so it's actually further back out right now. And the way this cutter, if you're not familiar with these, this cutter has a guide, if you will. The brass piece on top is a guide, and the cutter is a S-style hook cutter down here where my thumb is. And the brass nose is the thickness guide, okay? And with the tool gate, it gives you lots of comfort and control. I'm still going to move that a little bit more. And I also check that I'm sitting at center. Now they do like to cut from the inside out, but I'm going to go ahead and start up here on this rim and see what kind of response I get. Okay, because this is fairly thin. Again, it's not paper thin by any means. So hopefully my shoulder won't be in the shot. So I'm in the end. I'm going to lean up against the lathe to steady myself. And just start coming right down the wall very nice and easy. And because it's not smooth in there yet, you can hear it kind of bouncing a little bit as we get it flat. And of course, all the shavings go right down to the largest diameter down inside. Okay, so that smooths that starts to clean that up real quick. Okay, and I can go all the way down into the middle of this. And again, this is pretty uniform. I'll pop you in the overhead. The thickest area still is right in here, and typically is. So that's where I'll concentrate the work the most, in the bottom in there. I want to do as much up high here as I can beforehand, because as it gets thinner down below, it makes more vibration out here on the outer edge. Okay, so I'm going to pop you back here in the end. Like I said, I can go down in here, and I'll just want to show you that I can come right down inside here. And just sweep across. Okay, but I want to work up on this top edge first, a little bit more. Clean out the chips here. And this guy is really, for the most part, it's set and ready to roll, other than just this cleanup work. Make sure I'm not in the shot. Okay. And now I'm getting right into the largest portion of it, and I can see the cut down on the inside. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop, clean it out, move the tool rest in just a little bit, because I'm working down further inside there. Okay, just like so. So right at the largest diameter of the piece. Okay. Now I can come back around. You can see that line in there, and I'll just start to blend that out, clean that last little bit up. I do want to be careful because I don't have a lot of material left. So I don't want to be overly aggressive. And I'm also trying to make sure I don't get my arm in the way. Clean that out. Okay. And there's also there is a scraper head that we can put on this. So if you end up with unevenness, you can put there's a scraper head to change. Just like any hollowing tool, we have scrapers to clean up the last little bit of it. Again, I apologize if my shoulder gets in the way. I'm trying not to lean over there too much. Just a nice light little cut right there. And you can see the shavings. It's just taking these nice, peeling these nice shavings right off of there and cleaning that right up. All right, so my wall thickness now, I'm quite pleased with this. This is uniform, coming right down the sides. And all we need to do is clean up the bottom. That's not bad at all. And if I wanted to use a different tool, the bottom sometimes, the hook tool, you can use it, but you might just go in with a bowl gouge. You might just go in with a scraper. You can go in, there's another, the EasyWood I have the giant hollower here somewhere. They're a big #1 hollower. Here it is. I haven't shown you this one in a while. The EasyWood Tools Pro Size hollower. Big old guy. This guy will reach forever. That won't work in that tool rest. We can change tool rest real quick. And if you're in carbide, if that's the tool style you work in, you'll want one of these for reaching real far over a tool rest. I would do it 12-23, okay? And you should be able to see in there, yeah, you can see that. Just right in the center there. This tool is very stable, gives you a nice big long reach, has a big solid handle. Okay, and you just clean this right up. And again, I haven't used this one a lot, or I haven't talked about it a lot. I helped them develop it back before it ever came out. I was doing some of the testing for EasyWood tools on this. And of course, this is available on the Spiracraft website. This is everything that I use out here. And you can really, if you want to, you can reach way over here. And I'll show you in the overhead the approach angle that I'm taking. So I can come all the way over here and come right up on the top edge of this. If this is what you've got, okay, you can use this at an angle like that and clean all that up. Sweep right around. I like to show as many different tools as I can, because not everybody has everything in it, that's available out there. And I think one of the most important things is learning to work with what you've got. We can't all run out and buy every tool that's out there, especially as we watch the gas pump go crazy right now. So if you're using carbide tools and that's what you're comfortable with and that's your style, well, these guys, they get the job done, okay? And this guy, you might not have been able to see it, but I was actually, again, using my shoulder and my arm as leverage to stabilize the tool as I was reaching far down inside there. Works really, really well, okay? And that's the EasyWood Tool Pro #1 hollower. fantastic tool for reaching in there and using carbide. Takes out a nice set of shavings, nice set of chips. All right, so we have come in and we have cleaned this guy up. Again, there's a little bit of finish detail work to do on it to clean it up and make it all nice and pretty and perfect and ready for sanding and all that. But for all intent and purpose, we are good to go with our shape. And we can pop it out of the chuck. And now it weighs a fraction of what it weighed before, and we have a nice form that is ready to go, you know, other than the finishing. And this would be nice for putting things on table display, whatever it may be that you like. Maple, I would color this probably. I love coloring maple. It's a nice looking piece. I pop you into overhead. Okay, good looking piece of material. Nice piece. The tendon would come off when we're all said and done. And when I would turn it around, when you might ask how would I take the tendon off, I would turn it around, put not a jam chuck, but I just call it a reverse chuck, just a block of wood in here, or a rubber chucky, whatever, in the set of jaws. Bring my tailstock up, align my tailstock to that center point right there. All right, sandwich the bottom right between the block. Pop up here. Sandwich the tailstock, the piece of wood between the block and the tailstock here, and turn that tendon away. Pop you back in the end camera again in. Turn that tendon away. Reshape that last little bit if you needed to or wanted to. Sand her up, and you'd be all good. All right. So that was fun, and that is how you return, second turn, twice turn, whatever you want to call it. Got sawdust in my eye. Taking a piece that was turned green, allowed to dry, it's warped, it's out of whack, out of shape, get it back into shape safely. And remember, that was the first thing we did, was we made sure we had a good grip on it so that it couldn't get away. We always want to be safe. I'm crazy out here sometimes, but I'm always safe, always trying to be safe. I might push to the edge of it now and then, but I'm always looking out for myself. Even if I might not talk about it, I stand out of the way. If it's like turning, when it was on those bowl jaws and I had it up, or I had it turned in 1250, I didn't stand right over top of the piece in case something were to split. So always be safe. But get that piece back in there, reshape it, leave yourself enough material, and because you may have a different idea by the time you get back around to it. Well, everybody, I appreciate being here, you being here today. And apparently we had a troll. Mike says that somebody duty was a troll. Hey, you get what you get out here. You gotta love being on live on the internet. I had a great time. I hope you picked up a few tips from this. If you're interested in green pecan, keep an eye on the Spiracraft page and or the Spiracraft wood and resin turning community page if you're a member there. If you're not a member, you should be. Jump over, go click on it and ask to become a member. And as long as you're not a troll, we'll let you in to join. And I post a lot of things in there that I don't post out to the public, so it's a private group. So we probably will keep the trolls out. Anyway, everybody have a great week. Keep your fingers crossed that I get my tail back out here and do what I need to do with some drywall work and whatnot, and get my new camera and cameras up, etc. for next week. So let's take it at that. Let's go meet the tree man. Everybody have a great week, and I appreciate you coming, and I will talk to you soon. And I'm gonna put this back over here and leave it in the overhead shot to finish up the day. We'll just set that guy right there. I could, if I had something to set it on here. Let me see what I can do here. I always like to try and leave something in a shot here at the end. Of course, nothing ever cooperates like I want it to. Let's see, what'll put this up there in the air? Not high enough. That's why I keep all this stuff around, so I've always got something that I can stack stuff up on. Everything's just the wrong size here today. The tenon doesn't quite go in that hole. Can you believe that stuff? All right, let's try this. You can't win sometimes. There we go. Yes? No? Still crooked. Ah, there we go. All right. See you, everybody. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon. There's a nice end shot for you of a nice little maple piece.